Hey, what's up, guys? Good morning. It's Jamie. I am about to get here to work. I did a nice video yesterday, but what I found is whenever I do these videos on my phone, I'll get phone calls sometimes. It just throws the whole vibe off, or unless I'm going to edit it later, and a lot of times it's just not going to do it. This is like a one-take type of thing. All right. So my conversation this morning, as I know the Fed, looks like they raised the rate again, another 75 basis points, which I wasn't surprised after the announcement at Jackson Hole. What do they call it? Hawkish. They were hawkish, and the interest inflation rate being at over 8%. I think it was 8.3. I checked it this morning. I said 8.2. I don't know if that's accurate. Anyway, 8.2, 8.3%, and what's it supposed to be, around 2? So there's a long road ahead. I don't think that's going to change anytime soon. And certainly Putin threatened nuclear war in China, collapse. Oh my gosh, this is like so much stuff that influences the market, right? A lot of fear in the marketplace. So, in the auto industry, I've noticed that the market is changing from what it was over the past year and a half. Like even, COVID, tail end COVID influence on people's households, right? And jobs and stuff like that. Supply of new vehicles, the prices of used cars. But I'm starting to see a crack over the past month or two in the pricing of new and used cars. So, it's like watching a stock top out on the relative strength index where it gets over 70, 80, 90, right? Or, somewhere in that range where you're like, it doesn't matter what people are saying. It's just the numbers are the numbers. Eventually, if it's over that, or if it's well under 30, generally, it's going to go in the opposite direction. At some point, it's going to snap back the other way like a rubber band. Like Adobe. Right now, I have 90 shares of Adobe. My goal is just to have 10 to 30. I end up getting 90, and I'm like, do I get the last 10 for 100 and then sell some contracts? Or I just been waiting for the pop. I really feel like I think it's like 280 something right now. And when you look at like tip ranks and you look at the charts, it seems like it's way oversold. Way oversold. I would think that it pops back up. It doesn't have to get to 360 to 380, but I can't see it not getting to 310 to 320. And that's my opinion. So like I'm at 294 a share, I think. So, if I see 10, 20 bucks a share, for me, I'm good. I'll take the profit. If it just blows up and goes to 360, 370, hey, even better. But I'm patient. I'm very patient. You got to be patient on your convictions of whatever you think is going to happen, with a share price or stock. But anyway, so I wanted to talk about probabilities, and I know that's in reference. And, at my job, at my workplace, my earned income job versus my passive income stuff, which is, real estate stuff for the most part. And I don't have dividends, real estate is probably the biggest other thing I have. And then, the stock stuff that I mess with is not enough to live off of. It's more like I make some money here and keep throwing it back in. But whatever it is for you, whatever your passive income is, and obviously I'm not a YouTube star. I'm just doing this for my family, my sons and daughters and my friends, and it's just conversation. Where you have so many different things where it's like water cooler stuff. We say, hey, what do you think about the football team? The Patriots. What do you think is going to happen? What do you think is going to happen with the president? What's Biden doing now? Is he really in charge? All those conversations that you just have with friends and family. That's all this really is for entertainment purposes. So probabilities for me are very influential to your life. And I find that as I've gotten older, you got to measure those probabilities. It doesn't matter if you have a doctorate or PhD or master's degree. I have a high school diploma, and I do pretty well for a guy with a diploma. But that's because I was working for decades, right, in the same industry. And eventually, from being around other successful people, I started to learn some stuff that I just didn't know. It was like somebody just going, hey, your pen you're looking for is right in your coat. Right. Oh, it's been there all the time. Wow, I've been going crazy looking for that. So sometimes the answer is right in front of your face. It's just somebody has to show you, you know. My daughter, actually, the other day, I don't know if I talked about this, in this car I have, like I have this little GLI, 35th anniversary Jetta, you know, GLI. I love this car. You know, it's just for me to run around and it's zippy. It's, you know, it's good in gas. And I don't, anyway, I don't need something else. I could get something else, but I'm like, I don't need nothing else. This is fine. If I want to use a truck, I use my wife's, you know, her truck. But she showed me this feature, right, where you pull the thing in the back, the little release. It was just tucked up underneath. I didn't see it, but from her view, because she's short, right, she's a little 7-year-old girl, she could see it on the ground. I opened the trunk. I never saw it because I'm looking down. My perception is different. I'm looking down in the trunk. I never saw a release. I would just thought these seats don't go down. There's no pass through, right? It's just, they just don't go down. For years, I had this car for 3 years. My daughter goes, oh, Daddy, you know, you can pull those levers and the seat will go down. I was like, what? And I just like went, I said, oh my gosh, you're right, Sophie. And I pulled the 2 levers and sure enough, the seats go down. And the other day I had to go to Lowe's to pick up some fence stuff that I'm doing in the back. I was actually able to fit the T-bars, these 7-foot T-bars, and some fence, like some chicken wire type fence, 50 feet. I was able to fit it in the car. And I'd have to borrow the Jeep Cherokee or the Grand Cherokee or the Yukon if I wanted to do that. But it just goes to show you that perception is reality, right? And probabilities are going to determine certain outcomes. I've just seen some stuff happen here at work where certain choices increase this person's probabilities of you know, a bad outcome, you know, and this person is very talented. This person has got some really great work ethics, and then there's some that they don't have, but nobody's perfect. But anyway, I thought their good qualities were far outweigh their bad ones. But if you continue to do certain things, like if you show up late for work all the time, right, whatever you do, and I'm not saying this person was doing that, right, but whether that person was or wasn't, if you are consistently late, for example, for work, or if you're doing something that you shouldn't be doing, right, it very well could come to light at some point. So I've seen that happen many times over the past 22, 23 years I've been doing this, where, you know, people were doing things they shouldn't have, and they did it for years. I'm talking like one guy I know did it for 10, 12 years. And all it took was somebody just like that, oh, hey, or just like my daughter going, hey, Daddy, look. I bent down and looked. It was right there the whole time. All it takes is somebody uncovering something or looking at something that was been there, that just has been overlooked. And if it's not supposed to be there, and if it's wrong, and you're held accountable, it may not work out well for you. You know, it's okay to make mistakes. I think, you know, it's okay to make some mistakes and recover, and, you know, like, oh, I did that wrong unintentionally. I just made a simple mistake. And then sometimes there's forgiveness. Sometimes they're like, okay, don't do that again. You're doing a great job, you know, Miss James, you know, Mr. James. But, you know, let's correct that. That's what coaching is. That's what I think, encouraging somebody that has the ability to do it. But if you're scandalous, right, like if you're doing some stuff that you shouldn't be doing, you know, that could eventually come to light, right? You ever see that show? It's called Ozark. I was showing it to my buddy Adriano, and there's a scene in there where, oh my God, I forget his name. Dell is telling a story to Marty and his partners. He's about to kill everybody except for that doesn't kill Marty. But he says, you know, my uncle caught my aunt, who would work for him for, I don't know, 20, 30 years, stole $5 it was pesos worth $5 from the cash register. He caught her. And he's like, why did you do that? You know, you didn't need to, you could have just asked me. And she begged him for the job. She just, you know, she had 3 children, single mom, a lot of good qualities, right, in the story. And he said, what should I do? What should I do with, whatever, Aunt Lola, whatever her name was? And, you know, and each of the guys that he's going to kill, you know, have different, well, he should give her another chance, or he should, you know, forget about it. It's just $5, you know. And I think ultimately Marty says he's got to fire her, because if she'll steal once, regardless of the reason, she'll do it again. And he's like, that's right. So I think sometimes there are certain things where you got to kind of draw the line. Got to have boundaries. Because if you don't have boundaries, man, people will walk all over you. I have 3 German Shepherds, or, you know, we have 3 German Shepherds. The boy is, you know, he's almost 100 pounds. He's a good-sized dog. And he'll bite you. You know, if you come in my house, he doesn't know you, he will go after you. Unless he has to know that you're welcome, right, and introduced and stuff like that. And I want it that way, because if I'm not around and somebody ever came in, I wouldn't want him to just be like, hey, come on in, it's cool. I'd want someone to be afraid, because that's why it's one of the reasons we have him, is to protect the house. And the other dogs as well, but mainly him. So he listens to me, not because I scream at him or starve him or beat him with a rod, but the breeder taught me that you have to kind of grab them by the scruff of their neck where they first kind of like rebel, like they try to challenge you, alpha male, right, stuff. And I had to put him down on his side, he showed me, and hold him there, right, to let him know, hey, I'm in charge. And I was like, really? He's like, you know, the guy's got 15 German Shepherds, he breeds them. So he's like, okay. So I did it, and I did it a couple times, and you know what? He listens to me. And what was that guy, Caesar Milan, whatever, the dog whisperer? I seen him do stuff like that in this thing where he goes, and he like does this thing. That guy told him the same thing. You got to like kind of grab him in the chest. Again, you're not trying to hurt him, but that's how these dogs do it. They bite each other on the neck, you know, not to kill each other, but just kind of show dominance. So I had to do that with him in the beginning, and I don't need to do that anymore. If I just say, Gabe, come here, he just, okay, he comes. Gabe, go do this. You know, come in, go out. He listens to me. He won't listen to anybody else. And it's not because I'm an expert with the dogs, right? And I'm not. But I listen to somebody who breeds dogs, who's a champion breeder, a pedigree breeder. And obviously they knew better than me. And I followed his instructions. So the probabilities were that my German Shepherd was going to listen to me because I followed the instructions. If you do what is required from you at your job, if you show up on time, if you do what's expected of you, and there may not be any attaboys, right? Like, that's why you have a job. If you own your own business, right? You just look at yourself in the mirror and just say, okay, I made payroll, I covered my expenses, I made a profit. You know, whether the profit was a massive profit or, you know, a little profit, you know, like, and then you do it again. And that's how life goes. So when I'm betting in stocks and thinking, oh, maybe Adobe will shoot back up to 360 to 380. I'm looking at the probabilities of the company going bankrupt. I'm looking at the probabilities of a bear market. How long will that go? Is the market reacting to the news? You know, like I think that Adobe had just bought another company for $20 billion. It begins with an F. I can't think of it right now. But they bought this other company. They overpaid, and there's nothing I can really do about that as far as if it was a good acquisition or not. But I think that Adobe is still a good play. And there's lots of companies, Google, Amazon, what else? Tesla. I mean, whatever the companies are, you fill in the blank, you think, oh, these are good companies. They may all have the same similar thing going on, but you only have so much money that you can put into it. And once you put it in, you invest, you're like, okay, I may not get the money back. When you put your money in anything, most cases, the return, whether you get 5% or 10% or 20%, whatever that return is, you don't get it the next day, the next week, for the most part, right? Most part, it's months or years before you see that return on investment. Like, hey, park your money here, and eventually you're going to get a return. I parked some money into XRP because I heard a lot of news. I don't have 100,000 coins, right? I have less than 10,000 XRP coins at, I don't know, 20, 30 cents. I think it's at 40 something cents right now. And I won't sell it because I think eventually, way down the road, it may maybe go up to $1 or $5 or $50, right? And I have such a small investment that I don't need that money. I just leave it. I park it there. And it could be the same thing with a piece of property. Right now, I'm looking at a piece of property. I'm checking my time. The probabilities of this one piece of property that my wife and I were discussing, do we sell it right now, like to free up some cash to do other stuff, or do we hold on to it? Well, my say in the matter is no. I think you should keep it. I think we should turn one of the apartments downstairs, you know, kind of refurbish it and get it functional the way I think it should be, and rent that space out. And then there's another space up top where I could put 2 more units. I'd rather do that and park my money inside of the property because it'll appreciate. The debt will decrease. The value will increase, and regardless of what the rates are doing, even if they keep going up, the rental prices in that area are great. They're building a $1 million house across the street, which is only going to further increase the value of that property that's over there. So, like, those are the things that I look at now as an older guy, right? As a middle-aged dad, I just go, I could put my money here, or I could put it there. Where am I going to get the best return? What are the probabilities? What are the factors, right? And it still doesn't, there's no guarantees, right? And that's why I always use the seatbelt analogy, where I say, hey, you're driving, you're going to, if somebody loses control in the other lane and hits you, you know, having the seatbelt on is going to increase the probabilities that you'll be safe, or, you know, not as injured statistically. So I try to always wear my seatbelt. So those are all the things I'm talking about, you know, this morning, is just consider that. I'm not picking on the person about the job thing. It's just something that's happened that was unfortunate. But I think that person will recover, right? Because I think sometimes he'll actually watch this, and I think he'll be just fine, right? So that's how life is. You get knocked down, you got to dust yourself off and keep going, regardless of how you feel. And that's what I'll leave with. When you're making those decisions on whatever it is, a business decision, a job, a relationship thing, you know, where to park some money, don't let your feelings make that final choice. I think because sometimes your feelings are going to lead you the wrong way, at least for me. If you just go based on your feelings, then a lot of times I found it was the wrong thing to do. If I base it on, like, I think this is what's right, but it's painful and it hurts, or it's not comfortable, or there's some fear, but I'm like, I know it's still the right thing, right? Or I think this is the best place. And that's what you got to do. Like, I started working out again, right? Not because I'm going to get jacked up or anything, but I'm like, let me get back to do this. I got my little home gym all, you know, functional. It's not still, I still got to pretty it up, but I mean, it's pretty good. And I worked out the other day, Monday, right? It's Thursday. I'm still sore. Oh yeah. You know, I did some dumbbells and stuff, and I'm like, I felt good. I didn't want to do it. I was exhausted. I mean, mentally, I just like, I don't want to work out, but I'm like, I'm always going to have an excuse. I got to take action. I got to do it. And I did it, and I felt better once I started. When I finished, I felt great. And then the next day or so, I got like insanely sore, right? Because I was damaging those muscles, and they're growing stronger and like back. But you have memory and you recover. And then next time I work out, which will be today or tonight, I'll do it over again. And that's what you got to do. Repeat, rinse and repeat. Get through the pain, right? And anything. Ignore your feelings. Do what you know is right. So, okay, that's it. That's my 20 minutes. I hope you guys have a great Thursday, and I'll see you next time. See ya.